Hey guys, welcome back to the OPL. We just saw Order take down Direwolves to extend their winning streak to now 5 games heading into the grand finals. It's going to be a Spawn and Rusty duo segment. Do not be alarmed by the angry man behind a Gragas painting, because it is going to be Nick still suffering some technical difficulties, Rusty. And last week I heard it was you suffering the technical difficulties. Can you just describe the mindset of what Nick is going through right now? Oh no, I've just lost Rusty. Okay, you're back. Thank goodness. We've all lost Rusty. Oh my god, is this my time to shine? Is this the solo casting moment? Finally? No sound Rusty. Hell yes. Spawn solo show. Here we go. So, what Rusty was trying to describe in eloquent words was he was saying that it is super frustrating and that you're just kind of sitting at your computer raging out. Um, and there's really nothing you can do. We have an IT guy. His name's Victor. He's been remoting into every single one of our computers today. I had issues. Nick's had issues. Skimmy doesn't have issues, but he's a New Zealander, so that comes with a whole host of different issues. And now Rusty finally also suffering some issues. So I'm going to be here solo talking a little bit about that last game. Direwolves coming into this weekend, changing up their support, playing Cupcake. No, absolutely not. I don't want you in my ear. Shut up. This is my time to shine, Nick. They went Cupcake into Decoy, back into Cupcake. So playing Cupcake in both games versus the playoffs teams collectively didn't have a great performance. And I just want to hit on something that Skimmy and the team were talking about. I believe he is playing from New Zealand. So I wonder if ping is a factor right now. Am I going to brag any? No, I'm not going to brag any. I think the Direwolves are a really good team and they finished above us on the ladder. So I'm not bragging at all. They still hold the head-to-head 2-1. So I think, yeah, that's just something for Direwolves. They've obviously got some roster consistency things going on. I think they're going to be a much better team after the break. And whether it's going to be Chiefs or Legacy they play against on the upper side of the bracket, we'll find out after the last game of the day. Obviously, Audit now. 5-game winning streak. Very proud of the boys from Melbourne. They've been able to fix a lot of their mid-game issues, I think, specifically getting caught on their setup. And I think it's looking very good. Lady Dubsy, is that a warm jacket? Yes, it is. It's actually the world's manager jacket. This is my big flex. I had to purchase this. It was a very expensive jacket at Worlds last year, but it is hella comfy. Also comes with a fur-rimmed hood if you want to put it on. Nick boy, you didn't try everything, mate. You didn't try not living in a mansion. If you're in a shack, the internet would reach the one bedroom of the shack. And unfortunately, that's not the case right now. So we are about to head into the next game of the night. I believe it is Pentanet.gg going up against the Mammoth lineup. Pentanet, their season has looked really roughed. 4 minutes 20 left, I've been told. Okay, that's a lot longer than I thought. I was kind of hoping for a 1 minute warning, but 4 minutes will do it. Pentanet's later half of the season has looked really rough. They came out swinging. Rogue was very vocal that this is one of the best teams he's ever played with. But he hasn't actually been seen in a while on broadcast because we only interview winners. And I think that this is definitely a team that look like they were the goods, but unfortunately have slid. Mammoth, on the other hand, I think are a super interesting team. They had a great game versus Order earlier today. Kwaku on the Alawi is starting to emerge as maybe one of the most improved players in the OPL. And Boma and Artek look the goods down there in the bottom lane. And I would question whether if the OPL was started today, if the Mammoth team could maybe challenge the Avant lineup for that last spot in the gauntlet, because we saw them play Avant Gaming yesterday. We actually saw them pick up a dub pretty convincingly. And this is a team that has so much young promise. When you're rebuilding within the OPL, this is how you do it. You grab very young new kids that have been around, experienced veterans before, and then you just try and get as much game time into them as possible. Really respect Mammoth for how they've approached this season and think their team is doing them very proud on Summoner's Rift right now. Guys, the reason you're just talking to me is because everyone else in the whole world is having technical difficulties and we sent Skimmy on a break, very foolishly. So everyone else is gone. Lady Dumsy, do I have any Bryce Courtney books? I do not believe so. Jenna and Jasper just arrived home. Hello, darling. What do you think about Mammoth taking your allowing trying to use against you? Funny story about that. I actually will tell this story. So we always used to share rooms. Order always used to share rooms at Riot with Mammoth, and my boys are big fans of lollies. And we would leave our leftover lollies before COVID-19 for the Mammoth guys. And we would kind of have this like really wholesome, like they would come in the room, we'd be leaving the room, and we would like talk to them about picks and stuff like that. And Kwaku one time actually left our boys, because they played earlier, a big packet of nerds. And Dos was really happy about that. He's a big nerds fan. And he just mentioned to Kwaku, hey dude, like with how you play laning phase, with how like you just look for chip and you position really well, I actually think Alawi could be a really good pickup for you. And Kwaku took that to solo queue. He's busted it out a couple of times against us in scrims as well. Obviously played it on stage today really, really well. And Kwaku is the nicest guy in the OPL. So I'm super happy to see Sam doing well. Obviously had a couple of rough weeks early, but now solo killing people, becoming a legitimate threat up there in the top lane. His champion pool is getting bigger. Plays things like the Poppy, Renekton, as well as on now pulling out the Maokai. I think that's really, really great. I've been told we're going to be joined by Skimmy because he's back from his break. So Skimmy, if you're there, Andre, save me.
I am back. Look, we're getting it done. It's been one of those weekends, right? You finalize the seedings, you finalize everything, and it wouldn't be a bit of shenanigans in the OPL or shenanigans in the Oceanic region, right? The internet in Australia just not as good as New Zealand, and New Zealand once again they just take those dubs, right? We beat you at sports and we beat you at internet. I mean, what else do we need to beat you at, mate? What else do we need to take back?
Honestly, mate, if we could take the OPL and put it in New Zealand, I would go. I went to, I think it's called Lake Taupau, something like that.
Oh, Lake, yeah.
That area is beautiful of New Zealand.
It is.
And I went to Auckland, hired a minivan, and just drove around for like 2 days. It is still my most fond holiday ever. It was like 2014, I believe, just before I became a shoutcaster. I actually got my job offer from Riot while I was on that holiday. And big fond memories, mate. So I agree. New Zealand, good. Are you from that area of New Zealand, or are you from the other crappy area?
So I was from Christchurch, where all the drama happened, right? So I've been riding the rocky waves, and it's actually funny because Christchurch is such a small place that we had really good internet. I think we had if we wanted to, so I was on fiber, it was like 200 down, but if I wanted to, I could have gone to 4K down. Do you know what I mean? That's the difference of NZ internet. And the place that we moved into, we found a new house, and all it had was fiber. So these new homes are just insane. I don't know, New Zealand, they've just got their shit together, mate. So we'll have to wait and see. Because somebody else that may have it, maybe in a different fashion, will be this Champion Select. So without further ado, filling aside, let's crack on in with the Macca's Champ Select.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
Here we are again. Let's crack on into the fifth game of the day. Getting ever so close now to the OPL Classico. It's Pentanet.gg taking on Mammoth. Both these teams without a chance now to make it into the playoffs, but still with a lot of pride on the line. We've talked about it in the last few days, this terrible loss streak that Pentanet have found themselves into in these tail end weeks. And, surely they have to find something to finish this split with a smile.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think this is an important game for both of these teams, because if you're some of these players, and Split 2 is the all-important split, quote-unquote, because OPL teams love to get to Worlds over MSI, then this could be the last game you play in the OPL. Every single player out here, this is, last versus second last, I believe, is going to be going hard in the paint, Skip. And I do not expect this to be, the Gravitas versus Chiefs game that we saw before. I expect this to be really good drafting coming out of both of these coaches and these young players trying to make their mark, because these are two of the youngest squads that we actually have within the league at the moment.
Yeah, you've got the development and the points that need to be proven to justify their places here, and to say that, you know, there isn't going to be, you know, so to speak, a big overhaul during the off-season, whether or not that is even a potential. But regardless, definitely a chance to showcase what they are made of, what their mental is like coming into this matchup, as we're going to see the Misfortune locked in as a first priority. Seems to be the case when these other high-priority champions are banned away, and the Jarvan and Tarek still continues to have an insane presence in the draft.
But finally, Skimmy, we see the fact that Yaxuli has gone back towards his Nidalee.
Yeah.
I said he needs to stop playing it, he needs to learn things like the Lee Sin, like the Sejuani. I think he went too far the other way. I think that even when these people were picking greedy junglers, he wasn't punishing. But this is finally a punish. Jarvan sucks into Nidalee, and I really hope that Sorley just shows how good he is at these farm-oriented junglers.
No, I'm looking forward to it as well, because as you say, yeah, definitely been a big preference towards Lee Sin. Then he turned his attention back to the Gragas, which is also, I believe, his second most played this split. So the Nidalee is going to be an interesting one. We've seen him practice it in the past. I don't believe he's actually played it in the OPL, but one that he's very proficient on nonetheless. Mammoth will lock in their bot lane. We're going to get a bit of a glimpse of, once again, a very familiar sight now. Plenty of engage, plenty of protection for the insurance policy of we can do it once, we can do it twice.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see whether they're going to be able to drag these games super late. I also think it's so funny that we've gone from at the start of the year where Quaker was just blind picking his champion every single game, was getting no priority in the draft, to now drawing target bans and also like actually getting dropped to 5th pick sometimes. So like huge evolution of the player. I was talking about it like when I had my solo shot, Skimmy. I don't know whether you tuned into the Spawn PL before, but I really do think that Quaker has significantly improved throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, we talked about it at the start, right? I think weeks 1 to 5 at least, he was always being bullied. He was relentlessly locking in the Ornn and very stubborn in that fact to say, I want to play this, we just think it's insane, and to rely on obviously the ornaments coming online to make sure that their team had a fighting chance. But definitely in these most recent weeks when he showcased us the likes of Fiora, the Poppin, and the others that are very meta at the moment, he has made a statement for himself. And in most recent games, even the game against you boys earlier today on the Alawi, was looking to try 1v5.
Yeah, I thought he nearly had 1v5 on that mid lane team fight. If one more person survives there, they could get Baron. That game's completely different. We even had to sneak an Elder Dragon to be able to win the last team fight, right? So certainly, and I was saying this, Mammoth beat Avant yesterday. Like, this is a team that has taken Order to the edge, beaten Avant. Like, they are so close to being a playoff contender. Like, I just have been so insanely kind of proud of how this team has lived up to some of the expectations put on them. When I looked at Bass and Lived in the first couple of weeks, I thought this team could really grow into something good, and I think it has.
Well, Spawn, I need you to, you know, clarify what I'm witnessing on my screen right now. We're seeing another Graves. Now,
well,
this Graves this time will be, what, top lane?
Yeah, so this is what I thought it would be. Really good pick into a lot of these blind top laners. Like, it can play into Ornn, can play into Renekton. So this is what I thought we would see. And then Kassadin counterpicks LeBlanc. And the way it counterpicks LeBlanc is it lives throughout the laning phase quite easily. It never really gets priority until about level 9 to level 13, somewhere in there, depending on how well you play. But it is able to live. You should never be able to kill a Kassadin, especially when you have an AP jungler as well, Skinny. And if Lived gets to level 16, the Nexus on the other team explodes. It just happens.
It just blows up on its own accord.
Yeah,
there's nothing
exactly
else.
Right. The Nexus gets up and just runs away from Kassadin. So that's how strong the champion is at level 16.
Gets up.
You don't even need items on Kassadin to actually like be relevant. He's just so insanely strong. We saw a mana stacking Kassadin yesterday, actually out of Siemens, I believe. Never really got to that online point. They kind of seeded too much before like the game actually was happening. Hopefully Liv plays it a little bit more aggressively. There are still windows between level 11 and level 16 where you can fight on Kassadin and you can take really good trades to the sideline.
Yeah, what did he have? He had like the Roa and the Ceres, and he was just waiting to find that one moment, right? He'd been tunneling so hard on the fleet footwork to keep himself sustained during the laning phase and those desirable traits. It wasn't to happen. And we'll have to see if this is a different tune. We're going to jump into game number 5 very shortly, but before we do, we're going to jump to a quick break, so don't go anywhere.
Have we actually got a full 3-minute break? Can we confirm that, production? conclude. I'm just going to go get a drink really quickly.
Yeah. Welcome back. We're back again, Spawn. We're here.
You certainly are, my friend. And guys, we know that there are definitely technical issues happening. Just want to stress that in 2 weeks, we picked up a whole studio and moved it from a physical place on Earth to into a cloud somewhere in the sky. I don't technically know what that means, but obviously, as wind is pushing the cloud further away from Nick and Rusty's house, they've lost connection. So Skimmy and I are still safe. The cloud is still close enough to us, but what I'm trying to say in a bit of a cheeky way is we understand that stuff is going to right now. We are trying our best to work our way through it, and we thank you for your patience. But we are into the second last game of the night, Skimmy.
We are indeed. It's Pentanet.gg taking on Mammoth for what should be an absolute banger. Both these teams sitting at the bottom of the table, but that won't take anything away from this occasion. They've definitely got drafts that showcase they want to make something happen. And that really is signified by one, the Sorely Nidalee pick, one that we want to see him go back to again, and then lived here on the Cassidy.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I look down these drafts, Skimmy, I can't help but think that Mammoth have been able to do it again and have a very good draft. Pentanet's draft really does need to hit hard and get in a good position for this mid-game. I would say, probably 3,000 to 5,000 gold by 20 minutes is what I'm expecting of such an early game comp coming together, and we'll see whether they're able to execute on that, Skimmy. Expectations is Mammoth just scale for days. Taric plus Cassidy. How much more scaling can you get in a comp?
Well, I think they've already won, quite honestly, their Spawn, if I was to give my unbiased opinion. The fact that Taric is rocking the pink attire, he's looking very fabulous on this Rift here, so maybe that is a factor of just distraction during the laning phase, so that you do get dazzled on many different occasions.
Certainly could be. Bye, Panther. Whoa!
Good little trade.
good? Mate, that's a great trade. Like, that just looked unanswerable. What do you do? What's a poor Renekton to do? Renekton's supposed to be a lane bully, Skimmy.
Oh, he's just been bullied by a shoddy. As Rogue is going to make sure that the Flay finds a little bit of love, but he gets taken so low as a result. Rend will definitely do some damage there. And Bio's still level 1, making Quaku absolutely work for it here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Quaker, you're just happy because the wave's been pushing towards you. So you're just going to sit here, you're going to bide your time. You're going to say, guys, don't worry, I am a rock in the top. I am an armored titan. And I'm just going to sit here and farm as best as I can underneath my turret until I have access to all of my abilities, because right now, Biopanther just keeps shooting me in the face.
Oh, he's been forced to burn through those resources, the potions to sustain himself, couple that with the Doran shield. Renekton will obviously have the teleport, and that'll be definitely something to consider if the subsequent trades do continue to be desirable here for Bio on the Graves. But mid lane is where I'm curious on, right? Obviously, Kassadin being such a good shutdown towards AP mages, whether or not Get Back can have that influence, or if he looks to say, look, we know that Kassadin wants to hit 16, I need to try and, as you say, make something happen in the early game. I need to influence these side lanes. I need to really punish what this Callista is trying to achieve.
Yeah, well, the thing is, right, is that Kassadin should lose the lane still, in my opinion. You don't lose it hard, right? You will soft lose prio. You might go down a couple of CSs, you get chunked out. Obviously, you run Fleet Footwork, so you can stay healthy. But I don't... Oh, actually, Bass in trouble.
He is in trouble. He's forced to burn the flash, the response as well. Flag and Drag is the insurance, and he sidesteps out the spear. Sully will utilize that movement speed from the bush. One order will do it. And first blood here, picked up by PGG.
And this is what I expected to see, right? So Kassadin still loses this lane early, Skimmy. It's not like Kassadin gets a free lane in any lane. It's that this lane is more free than other lanes. And that's therefore why you would be able to pick it. That was a very good setup there from Sully. He gets to the crab first, catches Bass kind of face-checking him there as well, burns through the flash, and very expertly run through the bushes to be able to pick up the additional movement speed. I like that. That's what we want to see out of our Italy. We said 3,000 gold by 20 minutes. They're on the road there.
They are getting it done. If this gold can continue to build up, and Pentanet have a window in which they can execute and keep these members in line. Obviously, the jungle difference is starting to become apparent with that matchup. Bio still being very aggressive in his top lane here as Sully shows his face again. Spear will not connect. The slice and dice gets him out of harm's way. Dark Harvest stack is picked up. Flash for flash. Dash to get the kill. And Bio now on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, and this is what you expect, right? You've got yourself a really good early game composition. You want to see them push the lead as hard as they can. Sully, on a typical carry jungle style, taxes some minion waves. Praetor's going to take a very late land and get himself to safety as well. And they're already up 1,200 gold, Skimmy. This is looking to be a much more promising early game out of the Pentanet.gg lineup.
A recall goes off for Praetor, but Rogues gets interrupted there. Shouldn't harm them too much in the grand scheme of things, but the wave is pushing back to Mammoth if they were to opt for a potential freeze.
And they have, right? You can see Mboma already shopped. He's got himself the double longswords. That's why the better base came out for Praetor. But you're right, wave positioning certainly suits the Mammoth lineup right now. And Mboma going to be able to lessen this gold lead by denying CS away from the 80 carry of the Pentanet.gg lineup. This generally could give Rogue a window to head towards that mid lane, maybe look for a cheeky gank, because there's not all that much kill threat that will come out of Taric plus Callista at this stage of the game. Level 6 it becomes much more kind of difficult. But you can see instead of going towards mid lane, they go towards the dragon. They're going to be able to pick up the first dragon of the game. It is going to be that Ocean. And this sets up an 8-minute flip really, really nicely for the Pentanet lineup.
And it'd be much better if they can pick up a kill here before Bio hits level 6. Both are close. Bass unable to find that window. He's spending a lot of time up here as well. Was actually considering the recall, but decides, look, I need to make something happen. Dragon picked up by Pentanet in the bottom side. They now force to play in top. There's no flash because it was used in the previous fight. Bass and Quaku getting themselves on the score sheet to start off top lane.
Yeah, big Quakers. Just gets himself a cheeky little kill up there. Also has himself a CS lead now. Thank you very much, he says, Mr. Bass. That's going to also bait out the teleport that Biopanther was able to hold on to, thanks to the earlier gank. And Mammoth hit back, you know, gold lead back within 400. Short Dragon did go over to the Pentanet.gg lineup, but until they get towards a soul, not really going to count those chickens, because we've seen too many times that teams pick up an early dragon, but they sacrifice too much for it.
Absolutely. And we talked about it a little bit also in terms of what dragons are worth sacrificing, especially the Mountain and the Infernal in the early stages, because what the 3-4% buff increase isn't going to account for much. Hold that thought though, however. The repeat game comes across again. It's going to be a 2 for 2, but it's now going to become a 3 for 2 as Get Back joins the fight with a TP coming in clutch. Castellan will not respond. He will stay strong in mid lane, but it pays the price because now Get Back will respond and come back to this lane with a double kill.
And that is just Cassidy doing his job right there. You cannot come second to a gank as Cassidy. You're useless, especially when you have no items and no mana at this stage of the game. So really respect the decision from Liv to stay home. Do the right thing, guys. We're in the middle of a pandemic. There's like viruses and health scares running everywhere. Why would you ever leave the house? Just stay in the safety of the mid lane, continue to scale up, wait until you get told that you're level 16 and it's good to go back outside. And then really, the world is your oyster as a Cassidy at that stage. I think I got lost in that analogy a little bit, Skinny. But
I know. I was mesmerised by it, mate. I was letting you have your little moment, and I was along for the ride.
But still, that is a good sign from the PGG lineup. Hook will go wide in this bottom lane. You can see Mboma and Artek inching towards that level 6. Once they're there, the all-in of this lane is so terrifying, Skimmy. We see it all the time in the LCK. We're starting to see it a little bit more now in the OPL. This is a genuine fight lane when you would not expect that out of most Taric lanes.
They're definitely threatening it at every chance that they get. Artek being a little bit more restrained now with his dazzles as to when he wants to try and make those fights happen. Both supports inching ever closer to level 6, which is, as you say, when it really starts to shine. Bass going to come in here, but is going to be spotted by a ward. Instantly Gale goes the recall. Control ward will spot it too. Time wasted, but time option, that was to be considered.
And you might wonder why he walked back out of that brush and then re-recalled. You just never want to let the opposing team know when you're recalling as a jungler. So even if you're going to recall again immediately, you should wait until you're off vision to do so, because otherwise it just gives Sully, on the tempo jungler, too many options. And you can see already Sully pounces towards that Rift Herald. He knows that Bass isn't on Summoner's Rift right now. He is on vision, however, and there is potential that you fight this. You do have teleport on Lived, and Bass is quite strong. Sully doing it very quickly, and it looks like the play's off. They're not going to go towards it.
Yeah, shredding for it too far, too easily. And take it down, continue the momentum that Pentanet have been building. Still a 1k buffer though, and you mentioned they needed to get at least 3 to 5. This will definitely assist them with that if they can find some structural advantages with it, and potentially a pick 2.
Yeah, and I really think that they should try and get uneven lane assignments right now. The reason behind that is, hold the thought. Good chunk coming out to Get Back in the mid lane there. What I was going to say is the reason they should flip, in my opinion, is they have superior wave clear on Biopanther's champion, and they're going to be able to 2v1 much easier. Quaku in the top lane, however, looks so aggressive right now, Skimmy.
Yeah, he tried to jump in and he's going to feign the recall. He's going to dash back in with Dominus, get the swing of the dagger to do the damage. But the dagger goes into his back and takes him down as he falls prey to the gank attempt as both junglers rock up to the party, and that is going to be the push attempt that we were highlighting, where the Rift Herald may be able to find value as Bass is forced to come back.
Yeah, and that is going to be an Biopanther, so I wouldn't expect an immediate drop. However, they are trying to get through a couple of these turret plates and maybe set up for the turret push.
Fair bit of damage done, but as you say, no mana, not going to be the easiest time. Only 10 minutes in, so still plenty of time before those turret plates fall on down, but more money in his pocket, up by 10 CS at this stage. Not a bad attempt at all. Same could be said for bottom lane. And Cassidy going to find a slight lead in terms of CS by staying in the mid lane, but obviously you cannot forget the fact that Get Back was able to find 2 kills. So, all around, yes, the gold lead may be, what, 1500? But with the Drake now spawning in under 10 seconds, you imagine Mammoth will give this one up again, having their bot side in the top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we talk about it all the time, but one Infernal Drake isn't game breaking. So you just give this one up, you back away from the bottom turret. Quaku shouldn't die here. You can get top lane down pretty quickly with these champions. Taric's attack speed is actually something that's underrated in his kit. Whenever he uses his spell, he gets a big burst of attack speed. So I think this is, a fairly good trade right now for Mammoth lineup, because what you have to remember if you're Mammoth is we scale it. And if we take this late, we win it. So why would you ever make a play? Just continue to say, we scaling, boys. And just, Try and live for as long as possible. Now that means you can't give up everything, Skimmy. Too many times teams use we scaling as we losing. Kwaku getting dove now.
Oh, absolutely beautiful push. This is exactly what we wanted to see right now. 2 turrets will fall, and now 4 members look to collapse onto Kwaku, forced to burn the flash. Does actually buy a lot of time for their top lane to continue pushing. They won't be able to even out the CS, or sorry, the tower push that has come across here. This will be a win for Pentanet. It will mean they can freely rotate now towards the dragon.
I mean, honestly, if Kwaku hadn't have burnt flash there, I would have said that's fine for Mammoth. The second turret isn't worth all that much gold. They're going to lose themselves the dragon, but we knew that already, Skimmy. You weren't fighting for it. So Kwaku just needs to maintain his flash there, and that's a fine trade. He now has a long lane to be able to farm in. He's going to be fine as a Renekton. He's a fairly tanky fellow just through the Dominus alone. Going to head towards that level 11 mark quite soon. And they've got a good 1-3-1 setup, so I think that's just like a little bit of inexperience from Kwaku. Pentanet is a team that loves to trade. They're very experienced at splitting the map. And they're just capitalizing on that, right? And getting a slight advantage where maybe there shouldn't have been one.
Regardless, he's going to go back to that lane. He's still within touching distance off this Graves, all things considered. But whether or not his priority changes, or if he is going to be left on an island, it doesn't seem like Bass has shown him much love since those initial few ganks in the top lane. But the first checkpoint is very close here for Liv's Cassidy, very close to level 11. And that's that window between now and 16 where you really start to wonder, how do Mammoth navigate it and prevent this gold lead from snowballing out of control? It's creeping up to the 3k margin in favor of Pentanet. And the second Rift Herald is not far away.
Yeah, absolutely isn't. You can see that they're positioned on the right side of the map to be able to fight it again. Lived is exactly where he does not want to be. He wants to be weak side, not strong side, because that's where you get the most farm at this stage of the game. And you can see that he is being collapsed on very quickly. Kwaku in the bottom lane, he's getting free farm. But Cassidy being shoved off turrets, definitely a good thing for Pentanet.gg right now.
They're going to look to push in this tower, making sure that Praetor is the main one, getting these resources, getting the gold. Got a lot of it in the turret siege push down and bottom before. And we'll have many members to support him.
How Pentanet have all of a sudden just gone back to their old playstyle. Wherever Praetor is in the mid game, let's move towards him. He was in bottom lane, let's move to him and drop the Rift Herald bottom lane. He's in top lane, let's move 3 members up to him. Ignore all of Sully's jungle camps. They're all up and available right now. And set up around Praetor. Praetor now has himself 2 turret leads. So whilst he hasn't got himself a CS lead, if we took a look at the gold, I'm sure he's up a lot of gold right now because he's taken himself so many resources off the map. And this is what Pentanet did brilliantly well throughout the beginning of the season, Skimmy. We spoke about it so much that he's like the turret and then everyone else moves where the turret goes. Now if they park in mid lane, everyone will play around mid lane. It's a little bit of a shame, in my opinion, that they seem to have lost that wave for the last couple of weeks. And in their final game of the season, when they have got themselves a 3,000 gold lead at 15 minutes, they finally go back to it.
It is interesting, right, that topic. They kind of veered away from it for a while, and whether or not that was a direct instruction from their coaching staff of we need to try and develop new identities, maybe new possibilities of strats going into a best-of-5 series. Yeah, obviously didn't pan out in the end. That's the story that we know now is confirmed, but to see them go back into this one and obviously go hard in the paint and say, this is what worked for us at the beginning, let's go back to that, let's make it convincing, and let's close out the season.
That happens in esports. Like, if you take another, sport that has multiple styles, right? And I always use MMA. If you're a really good wrestler, you don't say, hey, for a 5-round match, I need to completely flip my style. You might say, hey, we need to incorporate some more striking or something like that. There is room for improvement. But you very rarely completely go away from what your hard strength is.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time in esports, I find. People that we would say are pure tank players all of a sudden start swapping on its head, not taking, the next best tank available, but they'll try and play something like a Renekton and it won't work out for them.
Yeah, I always find it interesting comparing it to the likes of football, but we'll hold that thought for a second. Has lived as a trophy flashes away. Oh, he nearly got the denial, but Sully had that one queued up and finds the kill execution. My comparison before was going to be, especially with the churn that tends to happen with professional football managers and how they come in and try and deploy their own ideas. Suddenly, your team's identity completely shifts. The players that do fall in and out of favor, the systems that they're, forced to respond to. I always find it kind of interesting to see how teams adapt to it and how sort of their identity as a whole shifts as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're getting towards 17-minute marks. Give me, I said 5,000 gold is the upper echelons of the lead that I would expect Pentanet to be able to have. And this is exactly why. We're kind of seeing them just shift around Summoner's Rift right now. They're taking all the outer structures. They've now got third dragon coming up and available. It is going to be a Mountain Drake. And this is just really beautifully played. We take another look in the mid lane. Exactly what happened here. Predator turns around. The pink ward. You got to be able to read that. You have to take the Lantern early, Skimmy, because pink wards stop you from clicking on Thresh Lantern if they're well placed.
Yeah, I've seen that happen many a time, and whilst infuriating, incredibly effective. So a little bit of creative play there from Mammoth to get themselves back in with a chance as we bring up the score sheet in terms of gold right now. Both in the bot lane, completely even. Mid lane is where we highlighted before in terms of a big difference for Get Back. But the jungle is really where it starts. For the first 17 minutes, Sully has run this map, being the first one to top Scuttle, then to get the first blood onto Bass, and then to camp Biopanther and make sure that he's always the one to get him the kills.
Yeah, and Sully has played this game really smart, because your role as a tempo jungle is to first find the ganking jungler. That's exactly what he did, right? He found him in the jungle, he killed him. Now that you've burnt that flash, there is much less pressure on the lanes to be able to play around the Jarvan. Afterwards, he goes towards the strongest member on the map and secures that lane in Biopanther. Now he's taken 3 dragons, double Rift Herald, hasn't died yet, is 40-odd CS up as well. I would say nearly flawless performance coming out of the Pentanet.gg jungler. And it's really nice to see because Sully started off really well but has had a couple of shocking weeks. But this game, in particular, looks the goods again.
Certainly does. And it's now a case of, can they complete the job that they have started? Can they never get this mid-game without too many scratches on the bumper? As Lived continues to apply the pressure in the side lane, level by level, working his way towards that magical number. Bass once again respecting it. And is sure to isolate and identify the win condition to make sure that it has the ease of execution to reach it and make sure that they don't continue to give up these objectives, as Baron will be up in a minute. And Soul Point is up for debate in just under 4.
Yeah, and they're still a full item away from this Cassidy being where he wants to be, right? He's going to have himself the upgraded Seraphs quite soon. 6 stacks of that Rod of Ages already done. But this is the exact spot that the Cassidy was yesterday. He's got 3 minutes to somehow find an item, Skimmy. Otherwise, that's soul gone. And then 6 minutes after that, it's going to be Elder. And you cannot give up Elder in modern day League of Legends. It's just a death sentence. So we're seeing in kind of back-to-back performances of Cassidy that you do have to see too much in the early game. I mean, I credited him for staying at home and not using that teleport, but the lane deploys were really scuffed. He should have been in bottom lane where there was no turrets to take, just free farming when Renekton was. I think he would have had another, 30 CS by now. And this game could have been much different if Kwaku was a person trying to defend those top turrets.
Well, if it's not going to be Lived, the one that I've always been really impressed has been Mboma. He's been doing a fantastic job of keeping up in the CS here. Got a healthy lead over Pradev. As a team fight will now take place. Out comes the Cosmic Radiance to buy some time as the supports flex their power in this skirmish. A flash has to be used in the end. No summoners for their bot duo. Pentanet finding the moment, executing flawlessly, and now turning their sights towards Baron.
Okay, how good is the arm? Can Pentanet throw a 5,000 gold lead at 20 minutes? This is exactly where we wanted them to be, Skimmy. And you can see that they've started up the Baron. Kwaku knows that they're on it. Lived is still hitting bottom lane turret. Do they just give it up? Is that what the call is? Looks to be the case. Just get some
Looks to be the case.
Give it up. But now how do you fight the dragon in 2 minutes? Oh, I'm not sure about this call.
And they also find a kill. Get Back just solos that Kwaku as well. This is going to be a Hail Mary end, a finale of fireworks to close this game out. A minute 40 as they go for a fresh shot and unleash all kinds of power to look to try and close this game.
Yeah, and I mean, this has been clinical by Pentanet.gg. And when I watch games like this, Skimmy, I have to think to myself, was it actually the pressure that got to them? This is a pick from Get Back. Max distance on the chain, going to use the second one as well. Kwaku kind of stutter-stepped, and that's really well played. Just makes him pay for it. But yeah, back to my kind of train of thought. And like, I could be completely wrong, but if Pentanet on a game with no pressure can come out and torch Mammoth. Like, this is a shellacking. 21 minutes in, 6,000 gold. Like, they're doing everything right. Everyone on the team is doing their job. Then where did they go for really 6 weeks of this season? Because it is just a completely different game when you add pressure to it. Some people are big game players and deal with pressure really well, and other people struggle to rise to the occasion. Obviously, Pentanet.gg, a young team, so still have a very long time to learn. But this seems to be a game with no pressure on them, where they're just waltzing around Summoner's Rift doing whatever they want.
And I think if you were to, open up that point a little bit more, I wonder if the hype leading into Split 1 really got to them, right? Because coming into this, all the armchair analysts, all the predictions that were coming out were like, this is a team looking to fight for top 4. They have so much potential, a lot of experience, multiple members that can really showcase what they are all about. Whether or not that was where the hype was too much and the pressure, as you say, really rose to it. Regardless, they are definitely making a statement now, something for them to be proud of. Something for them to close out the split with, as they now take down 2 inhibitor turrets, working towards the inhibitors themselves. Mid and bot lane exposed, and that Soul ever so close to being the next objective contested.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be an exit Soul right now. You can see that they're just chucking spears, zoning them away from the turrets with 2 inhib down. There's no way that you can take this Soul fight. If you are the Mammoth lineup, you're now 7,000 gold down. And this is what the snowball is. For those that haven't watched League of Legends before, this isn't like if you lose the first half, you're on equal footing for the second half. Like, the pitch doesn't change. Like, this would be as if you played AFL football, and if you lose the first half, their backmen grow 6 inches and run 20% quicker. Like, the game becomes much more difficult when you lose the first half, and that's why scaling has not been seen in the OPL, because we are the second quickest region in the world. Have slowed down a little bit this weekend, Skimmy, but Pentanet trying to keep that game pace up.
They absolutely are. They are giving us a lot of reasons to smile right now. And with 2 inhibitors going down, they look for the clean control to close out this game. With the Soul online, with the Baron now expired, look to get the 3rd inhibitor and finalize this game. It's do or die now for Mammoth, and they will find a moment to engage. They collapse into mid lane, looking to take down the marksman known as Graves.
I mean, look,
they're
he takes
level
no
14.
damage.
But he
This
takes,
is what I
as
was
you say,
talking
no
about.
damage.
And now he'll hit the wave twice with his ability, and he'll be like nearly full health.
Look
Like,
at it.
it's so beautiful. I was really hoping we were going to see this earlier. I think it is a bit cheesy. Like, I think there are some things that absolutely just destroy it, Skimmy, because it has to push. So, like, I don't know, play Maokai ganking jungler, play Ornn ganking jungler, and tell me if Graves is actually good. But if they're not in the game, maybe it is a genuinely good pick.
Well, it's looking fantastic right now. We've seen it in the top lane and in the ADC role today.
I'm
getting
not
a lot of
counting
love.
the 80 carry one. That was troll. But all 3 inhibitors down now, Skimmy. Double super creeps streaming in. You've got to feel like this is the moment right now.
What do they have online? Ultimates galore. We need to see something happen. Can a flash engage happen from this Taric? He's got it up very shortly, but it's not going to come up anytime soon. It's going to be Pentanet that lead the charge as the first Nexus turrets soon to fall on down. Waiting for those Winions to flood on in. Pentanet circling their victims, honing in on it, and doing the damage to delete. They pick up a triple, they get a quad. Arctic, the sole survivor, but Pentanet will clean this game. They will end their split with a dub. 25 minutes.
Congratulations, Pentanet. Really well played. They controlled the pace of that game start to finish. Also, big shout out to Sully on his comfort pick of Nidalee. Really what he came through the high rank solo queue of on Nidalee, and the Karthus puts on an absolute jungling clinic there. Teaches Bass to not blind pick Jarvan, and that was an impressive game, start to finish. Skimmy, really back to the old Pentanet that we were really hot on for the first 4 weeks of this season.
Absolutely. And I think, if anything, it really showcased the delicate nature of drafting and how you can definitely be punished in that effect if you are going to look to go for comfort picks or look to go for high priorities that definitely can be counteracted, because from start to finish, Sully really was the one to lead that charge. So it's a game where Pentanet can be proud of and Mammoth can go back to the drawing board. But that does it for game number 5. We have one more game after this. We have the OPL Classico. This decides first seed. So grab a snack, get some water, stay hydrated, get yourself ready, and strap in for after this break.